Welcome back in. Halfway around the world, Kentucky has connections to one of Africa's countries. More than 200 years ago, Henry Clay helped repatriate freed slaves back to Africa. Some of Kentucky ex-slaves then settled and created their territory, which is now known as Liberia. WKYT's Carly Hogston showing us how ancestors of one specific Kentucky-born Liberian settler honored his legacy.
William D. Coleman, born in Lexington in 1842, was one of the ex-slaves who settled in Clay, Ashland, Liberia, named after Henry Clay and his Ashland estate. He later became president of Liberia, and one of his descendants, Jim Coleman, still lives here in Lexington. So he gathered his ancestors from around the world to meet today.
This is the first time in 182 years that the descendants of William D. Coleman have been able to come back to celebrate his wonderful life and accomplishments here in Fayette County, where it started for him.
They gathered at Henry Clay's Ashland estate to not only celebrate, but also bring together two nations.
It is just a major, major day for my ancestors, for William D. Coleman, all of my cousins from Liberia, and it brings us all together. And this truly is about nation building.
And even non-family members joined the reunion, like Congressman Andy Barr, who wanted to commemorate the unification by making a speech that will be added to the congressional record.
Former slaves left as part of the American Colonization Society, went to achieve their freedom in Liberia, and now being reunited back with the origins of their ancestry is really special.
The story that Coleman says will go on for generations because of this new family gathering they hope to maintain.
We don't want this to ever be forgotten, and we want the story to be told. And I want to build those bridges between Lexington, Kentucky, the state of Kentucky, and Liberia to make life better for all Liberians.
In Lexington, Carly Hogston, WKYT.
Coleman says they do plan to hold another reunion in 5 years to continue the tradition.